Ethan worked maintenance on a large space station that never truly slept. The station floated between trade routes, and ships arrived and left at all hours. Lights glowed softly along the metal halls, and the air carried quiet sounds of machines, voices, and distant engines. Ethan had worked here for 3 years, long enough to stop noticing how strange it once felt to live among so many different beings. Tall ones, short ones, ones with smooth skin, and others with patterns or faint colors that shifted when they moved. To Ethan, they were all just travelers passing through. His job was simple but important. He checked power lines, fixed broken doors, cleaned worn panels, and made sure life support systems stayed stable. Most days were calm. Others were busy and loud. Today was calm. Too calm, he thought as he pushed his tool cart down a quiet docking corridor. The docking area was usually full of noise. Crews shouted orders. Cargo bots rolled back and forth. Ships released clouds of steam as they cooled. But this cycle, one section of the corridor felt empty. Ethan slowed his steps, listening to the low hum beneath the floor. Everything sounded normal. That was when he noticed someone sitting near the wall. At first he thought she was human. She was small, with thin arms wrapped around her knees. Her clothes were plain and light, meant for travel. But as Ethan stepped closer, he saw the difference. Her skin had a soft gray tone, not unhealthy, just different. Her eyes were larger than a human's, dark and reflective, like deep water. She looked young, though Ethan knew age was hard to guess across species. The girl did not look up when he passed. She stared at the floor, unmoving. Ethan slowed, then stopped. He was not trained for first contact or diplomacy. He fixed things. Still, something about the way she sat made him uneasy. She looked tired in a way that went beyond a long trip. She looked worn down. Ethan cleared his throat gently. "Hey," he said, keeping his voice calm. "You okay?" The girl flinched slightly and lifted her head. Her eyes met his for only a second before dropping again. She hesitated, then spoke in careful words. "I am Mia," she said. "I do not know where to go." Her voice was quiet, almost unsure it was allowed to exist in the space. Ethan noticed her hands tremble as she pressed them together. He glanced around. No guards. No crew. Just empty corridor and distant lights. "You lost?" Ethan asked. Mia nodded once. "Yes." Ethan felt a small pull in his chest. He had seen lost travelers before, but something about her made him pause longer than usual. Maybe it was the way she waited, as if expecting something bad to happen. Or maybe it was how she seemed surprised that he had spoken to her at all. "Well," Ethan said, giving a small friendly smile, "we can figure it out." Mia looked up again, confusion clear on her face. She studied him as if unsure whether his words were real. Ethan did not notice the moment changing. To him it was just another quiet cycle on the station. To Mia it was the first time someone had stopped simply because they cared. Ethan walked slowly beside Mia as they moved away from the docking corridor. The metal floor felt colder there, and the air smelled sharp and dry. Mia stayed close to the wall, her steps light and careful, as if she feared making noise might draw attention. Ethan noticed this but did not say anything. He kept his pace slow so she would not feel rushed. She kept looking around, her eyes moving from door to door, light to light. Every sound made her tense. When a distant announcement echoed through the station, she stopped walking for a moment, her fingers tightening around the edge of her clothing. "It's just station updates," Ethan said calmly. "Nothing to worry about." Mia nodded, though she did not fully relax. "On my home routes," she said quietly, "announcements mean orders. Or warnings." Ethan glanced at her. "Here it usually means someone forgot where they parked their ship," he said lightly. She looked at him, unsure if he was serious. Then, slowly, her lips curved in what might have been a small smile. It faded quickly, but Ethan noticed it. It felt like a small win, though he did not know why. They reached a junction where several paths split. Ethan turned toward a service alcove built into the wall. Inside was a small drink station used mostly by workers. The lights were softer here, and the hum of machines felt steady and calm. "Wait here a second," Ethan said. Mia stopped at once. She stood still, her hands folded in front of her. Ethan could see her watching him closely, like she expected him to disappear or change his mind. He pressed a few buttons on the dispenser. The machine made a low sound, then released a cup filled with a warm drink. Steam rose gently from the surface. Ethan picked it up and turned back to her. "This helps when you're tired," he said. "At least it helps me." He held the cup out to her. Mia did not take it right away. She stared at it, then at his hand, then at his face. Her eyes were wide, searching for something he could not see. "This is given freely?" she asked. Yes, Ethan said. You don't have to pay for it. And no record is made? She asked again. Ethan blinked. No. It's just a drink. Mia's hands trembled slightly as she reached out and took the cup. Her fingers brushed his by accident, and she pulled back sharply as if burned. Ethan stepped back at once, lifting his hands a little to show he meant no harm. Sorry, he said. Didn't mean to scare you. You did not, she replied quickly. I am just not used to this. She held the cup close to her chest, feeling the warmth through the thin material. After a moment, she raised it carefully and took a small sip. Her eyes widened. She swallowed, then took another sip, slightly larger this time. It is warm, she said softly as if surprised. That's kind of the point, Ethan replied with a faint smile. For a few seconds neither of them spoke. The quiet felt comfortable, not heavy. Mia's shoulders slowly lowered, tension easing out of her posture. She took another sip, then another. Where are you traveling to? Ethan asked, keeping his voice gentle. I was to meet a transport liaison, Mia said. But the docking schedule changed. I did not understand the new route. I waited where I was told, but no one came. How long were you waiting? Ethan asked. She thought for a moment. I'm not sure. A long time. Ethan frowned slightly. Anyone tell you where to go after that? She shook her head. I did not want to cause trouble. Ethan felt something twist in his chest. You wouldn't have caused trouble, he said. Asking for help is normal. Mia looked at him with clear confusion. It is. Yeah, he said simply. That's how things work. Most of the time anyway. They continued walking, now heading toward the rest area. The halls here were wider and cleaner, designed for travelers rather than cargo. Soft lights lined the ceiling, and the sounds of the station felt distant and calm. When they reached the rest area, Mia stopped just inside the doorway. The room was open and quiet, with long benches, charging ports, and soft panels built into the walls. A few travelers rested there, sleeping or reading quietly. Mia hesitated. This place is for anyone? Yes, Ethan said. You can sit, sleep, or just stay warm. She took a careful step inside, then another. Slowly she moved to a bench and sat down. She placed the cup beside her and rested her hands on her knees. For a moment she simply sat there, breathing. Ethan leaned against the wall a short distance away, giving her space. He checked his wrist device, pretending to review his task list, though he was really just watching to make sure she was okay. After a while Mia spoke again. Ethan? Yeah. Why did you stop? She asked. Back there. He shrugged. You looked like you needed help. That is not an answer, she said, not unkindly. Ethan thought for a moment. I guess, if I were lost, I'd hope someone would stop for me too. Mia looked down at her hands. On my trade routes, kindness is a signal. It means obligation. Or control. Ethan shook his head. Not here. Not like that. She was quiet for a long time after that. Then she said, I was prepared to be ignored. Ethan did not know what to say to that. He felt suddenly aware of how small his actions were, and yet how large they seemed to her. You can stay here, he said again. No one will bother you. Mia looked up at him. Her eyes were shining, but she did not cry. Thank you, she said. I will remember this. Ethan nodded, feeling slightly uncomfortable with the weight of her words. Get some rest, he said. He turned to leave, pushing his cart back toward the corridor. As he walked away, he thought of it as just another quiet moment in a long work cycle. Mia watched him go, holding the warm cup in her hands. To her, the moment was not small at all. It was the first time a stranger had given her something without asking for anything in return. Mia stared at Ethan for a long time. He stood near the wall with his tool cart, one hand resting on the handle, his posture relaxed. To him, the moment felt quiet and normal. To her, it felt unreal. She searched his face for signs she had learned to expect. Pride. Control. Hidden intent. She found none of them. You have given me warmth, Mia said slowly. And a place to rest. Ethan nodded. Yeah. You guided me, she continued. You spoke kindly. You stopped your work. Sure, he said, unsure where she was going with this. Mia tightened her hands together in her lap. Then tell me, she said, her voice careful, what do you want in return? Ethan blinked. What? What payment, she said. What service? What promise? He stared at her, confused. Nothing, he said after a moment. I don't want anything. Mia's eyes widened. She leaned back slightly as if his words had pushed her. That is not possible, she said. Ethan let out a small breath. It is, he replied. I just wanted to help. She shook her head slowly. Help is never without cost. Well, Ethan said gently, it is this time. Mia looked away from him, staring at the floor. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the smooth surface. Where I come from, she said, help is given only to those who earn it, or to those who are owned. Ethan's brow furrowed. Owned? She nodded once. Kindness creates debt. Debt creates control. That sounds rough, Ethan said quietly. It is normal, Mia replied. Or so I was taught. She looked back at him. If I accept your kindness, I become bound to you. Ethan shook his head at once. No, that's not how it works with humans. You don't owe me anything. Mia studied him again. She seemed to look deeper this time, as if searching for cracks in his words. Then why did you help me? She asked again. Ethan thought about it. He could give many answers, but none of them felt right. Because you were alone, he said finally. Mia felt something tighten in her chest. Alone. The word felt sharp and clear. She had been alone for a long time, longer than she liked to admit. You did not know who I was, she said. Or what value I held. No, Ethan said. Didn't matter. That makes no sense, she said. Maybe not to you, he replied with a small smile. But it does to me. Mia looked down at the cup beside her. The drink was still warm. She wrapped her fingers around it, drawing comfort from the heat. On my home routes, she said, I learned to refuse gifts. Gifts trap you. This wasn't a trap, Ethan said. I know, she said quietly. That is why I am afraid. Ethan tilted his head slightly. Afraid of what? Of believing you, she said. The words hung between them. Ethan felt a soft ache in his chest. He leaned against the wall, folding his arms loosely. You don't have to believe anything, he said. Just rest. Mia took a slow breath. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again. If I do not repay you, she said, will you be angry? No, Ethan said at once. Will you speak badly of me? No. Will you expect me to return later? No, he repeated. She searched his face again, longer this time. He looked tired but calm. Honest, she decided. Not because she wanted him to be, but because everything she saw pointed that way. This is dangerous, she said softly. Ethan smiled gently. Sometimes good things are. She let out a small sound that might have been a laugh, though it was unsure and brief. You humans, she said. You make no sense. We get that a lot, Ethan replied. Mia took another sip of the drink. The warmth spread through her chest again, steady and real. She felt her breathing slow. The rest area seemed quieter now, safer. When I was young, she said suddenly, I saw someone fall during a trade stop. Ethan listened, not interrupting. They were injured, she continued. They reached out for help. Many passed them by. To stop meant involvement. Did anyone help? Ethan asked. Yes, Mia said. One did. But only after demanding service. Ethan looked down. I'm sorry. That is how things are, she said. Or were. I do not know anymore. She looked at him again. If your people are like you, she said, then the stories are wrong. What stories? Ethan asked. That humans are selfish, she said. That they give only when it benefits them. Ethan snorted softly. We can be selfish. We're not perfect. But you still stopped, Mia said. Yeah, he replied. They sat in silence for a while. Travelers came and went, but no one bothered them. Mia noticed that Ethan did not stand too close. He gave her space without being distant. Ethan, she said again. Yeah. If I leave now, she said, you will not follow? No. And if I stay? That's fine too. She nodded slowly. Then I choose to stay. For a little while. Ethan smiled. Good choice. Mia shifted on the bench, getting more comfortable. She leaned back for the first time since he had met her. My people believe strength comes from control, she said. But your strength is different. How so? Ethan asked. You let go, she said. You help and then you release. Ethan thought about that. Never heard it put that way. She looked at him with new curiosity. Does it not hurt? What? He asked. Giving without return, she said. He shrugged. Sometimes. But not today. Mia absorbed this quietly. She felt something inside her shift, slow and deep. A belief she had carried for many cycles began to loosen. I was prepared to repay you, she said. With labor. With loyalty. With silence. Ethan shook his head. You don't have to give any of that. She nodded. Then I will give something else. What's that? He asked. Honesty, she said. He smiled. That's a good one. She stood slowly, testing her balance. She felt steadier now. When I leave this station, she said, I will remember this moment. Ethan waved a hand lightly. No need to make it a big thing. It already is, she said gently. She bowed her head slightly, not in submission but in respect. Ethan felt awkward and stepped aside. I should go, he said. My work won't do itself. Mia looked at him, really looked at him as if fixing his image in her memory. Thank you, she said again, for giving me something without demand. He nodded. Take care, Mia. You too, Ethan, she replied. He turned and walked away, pushing his cart down the hall. He did not look back. To him, it was just another moment in a long day. Mia remained in the rest area, watching the space where he had stood. She placed a hand over her chest, feeling the steady rhythm beneath. For the first time, kindness did not feel like a chain. It felt like freedom. The moment between Ethan and Mia did not end when he walked away. It stayed behind, quiet but alive, like a soft echo in the metal halls of the station. Mia remained in the rest area for a long time. She watched travelers pass, listened to the low sounds of the station, and felt something new settle inside her. When she finally stood and left, she carried more than her small travel bag. She carried a story. She did not speak loudly about it. She did not announce it or demand attention. She spoke the way her people always did, carefully and in private. She told another traveler from her species while waiting near a transit gate. She told a worker who asked why she seemed calmer than before. She told her transport liaison when they finally arrived. Each time she described the same simple thing. A human stopped. A human offered help. A human asked for nothing. At first, those who listened did not react much. Some nodded politely. Others showed mild surprise. A few showed disbelief. But stories like hers had a way of spreading, especially in a place like the station where news moved faster than ships. Other aliens began to notice small things. A human engineer helping carry a heavy crate without being asked. A human medic checking on a tired traveler even after their shift ended. A human guard giving directions instead of orders. These were not big acts. They did not come with announcements or praise. That was what made them strange. Aliens began to watch humans more closely. Not with fear and not with challenge but with curiosity. They noticed that humans often smiled at strangers. That they spoke in soft tones when someone seemed upset. That they offered food, tools, or time without recording the exchange. Some aliens did not trust it. They assumed there was a deeper reason, one they simply did not understand yet. Others began to test it in small ways. They asked simple questions. They requested small favors. Each time the human response was the same. Help was given and then the moment passed. Mia watched all of this quietly. She saw how her small story became part of something larger. She noticed how humans did not change their behavior when they realized they were being watched. They did not act differently. They simply continued as they always had. Ethan, for his part, noticed nothing at first. He went back to his work. He fixed panels, checked systems, and logged repairs. He greeted coworkers, shared quick meals, and complained about long shifts like everyone else. He did not know that eyes followed him more often now. Not in a threatening way. In a thoughtful one. One day, as Ethan worked near a cargo lift, an alien worker approached him. The being was tall and thin, with smooth blue skin and slow movements. Ethan recognized the species but did not know the name. "Excuse me," the alien said carefully. "This lift, it does not respond." Ethan wiped his hands on a cloth. "Let me take a look." He fixed the issue in a few minutes. When the lift powered on, the alien paused. "What do you require?" the alien asked. Ethan blinked. "Nothing. It's part of my job." "But you stopped your task," the alien said. Ethan shrugged. This needed fixing. The alien studied him for a moment, then nodded and walked away. Ethan did not think about it again. But the alien did. And so did others who heard about it. Slowly the station changed in small ways. Aliens began to ask humans for help more often. Humans responded as they always had. Without ceremony. Without demand. Some aliens found this unsettling. A few complained to station management, saying humans were disrupting balance. Management reviewed the reports and found no rules broken. No harm done. Only cooperation. Mia noticed something else too. Aliens began helping each other more. Not because humans told them to, but because they had seen another way. She saw a being from a rigid trade culture offer directions to a lost traveler. She saw a merchant share food with a stranger during a long delay. These moments were rare but they were growing. One cycle, Mia crossed paths with Ethan again. He was working near a transit hub, adjusting a broken light panel. She stopped a short distance away, unsure whether to approach. She did not want to claim him or his kindness. She remembered his words. No return. No debt. Ethan noticed her and smiled. "Hey," he said. "You doing okay?" "Yes," she replied. "I am." He nodded. "Good." That was all. They exchanged no long words. No promises. But something passed between them. Recognition. Respect. After that, Mia left the station on her next route. She carried the story with her to other places. Other stations. Other routes. She told it the same way every time. Calmly. Simply. "There was a human," she would say. "He helped because I was there." Some listened. Some dismissed it. But some remembered. Back on the station, humans continued being human. They argued, joked, worked, and rested. They made mistakes. They got tired. They were not perfect. But they cared in ways that did not always make sense to others. Over time, the station gained a quiet reputation. Travelers spoke of it as a place where humans worked. A place where help might come without cost. That reputation spread farther than any announcement. Ethan heard about it only in pieces. A coworker mentioned that aliens seemed friendlier lately. Another joked that humans were becoming famous for being strange. Ethan laughed and went back to work. One evening, he sat in the same rest area where he had first met Mia. He drank a warm cup from the dispenser and watched travelers pass. He did not know that many of them looked at him and saw something different than a worker. They saw a human. And in that simple truth, something in the galaxy had shifted, quietly and without force. Mia stood near the departure gate, holding her small travel case at her side. The gate lights pulsed slowly, signaling that boarding would begin soon. Around her, travelers gathered in quiet groups, some speaking softly, others standing alone with distant looks in their eyes. The air felt calm, but Mia's thoughts were not. She felt steady yet full, like something important was coming to a close. She looked down the corridor one last time, unsure if Ethan would appear. She had not asked him to come. She had not sent a message. Part of her believed he would be busy, moving from task to task, unaware that this moment mattered so much to her. Then she saw him. Ethan walked toward the gate from the maintenance hall, his tool cart parked nearby. He was wiping his hands on a cloth, his movements relaxed and familiar. When he noticed Mia, he stopped and smiled, the same easy smile he always wore. "Looks like you're heading out," he said. "Yes," Mia replied. "My transport is ready." "That's good," Ethan said. "Long journey?" She nodded. "Yes. But I am ready." They stood facing each other for a moment. There was no rush, even though time was moving forward around them. Mia noticed how different she felt now compared to the first time she had seen him. Back then she had felt small and uncertain. Now she stood straight, her shoulders relaxed, her breathing calm. "I wanted to thank you," she said. Ethan waved his hand lightly. "You already did." "I know," she said. "But this is different." He tilted his head slightly, listening. "When we first met," Mia continued, "I believed kindness was something that had to be earned. Or paid back. I believed help was a chain." Ethan did not interrupt. He could see how carefully she chose her words. "You showed me something else," she said. "You showed me kindness without weight." Ethan felt a quiet warmth in his chest. "I'm glad it helped," he said. "It did more than help," Mia replied. "It changed how I see others. And myself." She paused, then added, "I spoke of you. Not by name. Only by action." Ethan blinked. "Me?" "Yes," she said. "Others listened. Others watched." Ethan thought of the strange looks he had noticed lately, the questions, the quiet attention. A few small moments returned to him, now fitting together in a new way. "I didn't plan any of that," he said. "I know," Mia replied. "That is why it matters." The boarding signal sounded softly. Travelers began to move toward the gate. Mia shifted her case in her hand but did not step away yet. "I used to think strength meant holding power," she said. "Now I think it means letting it go." Ethan smiled. "That's a pretty good way to put it." She looked at him, her eyes steady and clear. There was no fear in them now. No doubt. Only calm confidence. "I will carry this with me," she said. "Wherever I go." "I think you already are," Ethan said gently. She nodded. Then, carefully, she reached out and placed a hand over her chest, a gesture of respect from her people. Ethan hesitated, then returned the gesture in his own simple way, placing a hand over his heart. "Safe travels, Mia," he said. "And safe days, Ethan," she replied. She turned and walked toward the gate. She did not look back right away. She did not need to. When she finally did glance over her shoulder, Ethan was still there, watching quietly. She gave a small nod, then stepped through the gate and was gone. Ethan stood there for a long moment after she left. The gate lights dimmed. The corridor returned to its usual rhythm. People passed. Sounds echoed. Life moved on. He picked up his cloth and wiped his hands again, then turned back toward his work. But something felt different now. Not heavy. Just clear. As he walked down the hall, small moments stood out to him in a new way. A human worker helping an alien adjust a broken strap. A tired traveler being offered a seat. A quiet thank you exchange between strangers. He realized that these moments had always been there. He had just never thought about them before. Ethan stopped near a window that looked out into open space. Stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass, distant and bright. Ships moved slowly between them, carrying lives, stories, and choices from one place to another. He thought about Mia traveling now among those stars. He thought about how her story would move with her, changing shape as it passed from one being to another. He thought about how none of it had been planned. All he had done was stop. All he had done was care. Ethan let out a slow breath. He felt small, standing there against the vastness of space. But he also felt connected in a way he had not before. He turned away from the window and went back to work. Somewhere far from the station, Mia sat quietly on her transport. She held her case in her lap and watched the stars slide past. She felt no fear. No weight of debt. Only a steady sense of purpose. She knew now that kindness did not have to bind. That it could open doors instead. And across the galaxy, in small and quiet ways, that truth continued to spread.